All right, so hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of our Ultimate Fitness Club here. So today we're going to cover a new concept. So this one is referring to the 5 basic movements. Now, there's a man named Dan John who talks a lot about this. And basically what he says is that there's 5 basic movements that the human body performs when performing exercise. So those movements are push, pull, squats, hinges, and now by hinge I mean at the hip, like a hinge here, like a door hinge if you can imagine that. And loaded carries, which is one of the very important ones that we as humans have to do, carrying heavy loads over long distances. So basically what we're going to do today is at home, I'm going to get you guys to do your own warm-up. We've done a few of them now in previous videos, so you can choose what you like to do. If you like to do skipping, if you want to go for a walk, if you want to go for a run, if you want to do some jumping jacks, something like that, I'll leave it up to you guys. Okay, so basically what we're going to do today is, like I said, there's 5 basic movements, so there's 5 categories. I'm going to give you guys 3 exercises per category, and you're going to choose 1 or 2. And for each exercise you choose from each category, you're going to be doing 2 sets of 10 reps. So that'll be 20 repetitions total of each exercise that you choose. So basically I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate those now, and we'll get started.
Go.
All right, so the first category we're going to get started with here is the push movements. Now, I guess that some of you know where this is going, but we're going to start with the push-up. So the first movement we're going to do for the push category is a push-up. So start your push-up form. You're going to want your hands underneath your shoulders. You want to stack your joints, your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder. You're going to start here. Try and keep your body as straight as possible. Go down, right above the floor, and then back up. So now you're going to do 10 of those if you choose to do push-ups. And if you can't do a full push-up, that's okay. So I'll demonstrate the modified version of push-ups. All you're going to do is going to bring your knees down, cross your ankles together, and it's the same thing. Down, hold for a second, come back up. So you can do some of those push-ups fairly easily if you have the practice, but it takes practice to get good at it. And those are 2 of the exercises that we'll be able to do. The third one is another pushing exercise. I have 2 chairs here. It helps if you have like a bench or something, but the room we're recording in just has 2 chairs, so that's what I'll have to use. So this is called a tricep dip. So what you're going to do basically is position yourself somewhere in the middle. These might slide, but that's all right. You're going to put your hands here, and you're going to kick your feet out like this. And all you're going to do is you're going to come down, and you're going to push yourself back up. And that's going to work the triceps in the back of the arms. Go down and back up. Down and back up.
So Jude, if I'm working out from home, could I do this on my couch or coffee table?
It'd probably be better to do it on your coffee table because the couch is soft and it might be good to do that. But if you have a harder surface, it just makes it easier to have stability in your exercise so you don't hurt yourself. Any other questions, Laura?
Not right now.
Okay. Yeah, you can stop. All right, so for the next category we're going to cover here, this is the pull movements. So pulling, as you know, we just did pushing. So you're pushing away from you. Pulling is bringing something towards you. So I'm sure exercise that a lot of you are familiar with, if you spent any time around a gym or anything, is the bicep curl. So if you're at home and you don't have weights, I found this around the Boys and Girls Club, a can of pineapple juice and one of these oil containers. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate with both, just to kind of show you that you can do it either way. So all a bicep curl is, you're going to hold whatever object you choose to hold. You're going to extend your arms down straight right beside you. And all you're going to do is you're going to bring it up, and you're going to make sure that your elbow is staying in position. And you're going to bring it up to the top, and you're going to go back down. Back down to the bottom. Keep your elbow in place and bring it up. Now what that's going to work here is the bicep muscle. So you have the bicep here in the front of the arm. You have the tricep in the back of the arm, which is actually the bigger muscle, but your bicep has 2 separate muscles to it, which is why bi, therefore 2. And what you can do to get even an extra workout there, is you can bring it up, stop there, go halfway down, stop, bring it back up, and back down. And all that does is take out the momentum. It makes it a little bit harder. Another one we're going to do here, actually I'm going to continue using these, is the bent over row. So this one is more for your back muscles. So what you're going to do, you're going to put your feet kind of shoulder width apart, kind of do like a little half squat, not all the way down, but you want to kind of bend over so that your arms are hanging down if you let them hang. So 2 objects in front of you, you're going to kind of half squat down, reach down, and this is called a bent over row. All you're doing is pulling straight from the ground up to your chest and back down. What that's going to do, you really want to squeeze your shoulder blades together. So right in the middle of your back, you should feel your shoulder blades coming together. That's going to work your back muscles. That's the bent over row. And real quick, we're going to go out in the hallway. Okay, so for this next one, this is called, normally it's called a towel pole. I don't have a towel, I have a skipping rope instead, so I'm just going to kind of demonstrate that. So you have like a pole. I know a lot of basements will have kind of support beams in them, but we have this big pole here at the Boys and Girls Club. So all I'm going to do, get my rope around it here, get that up to an appropriate height here. And now you can do both arms, you can do one arm, but all you're going to really do, you're going to kind of lean back, and you're just going to pull yourself forward. Pull it there, and let yourself go back as slow as you can. So back. If you want a little more resistance, you can continue to lean even further back. You pull yourself towards your hands, let your hands touch your chest, and stop. Now, to make it even more difficult, you can do it with one hand. I'll have one hand on the rope here. I lean back, as I pull myself in, let my hand touch my chest, and bring it back. These kind of exercises are really good if you have exercise bands at home or that sort of thing that adds resistance. Those are really great for building up muscle. So this is something easy you can do. You have a pole that you can brace yourself on, or have something to wrap something around, something sturdy. Yeah, just the whole point of this is to show you guys just kind of different things you can do. Just takes a little bit of creativity and such, so yeah. All right, so for this next category we're going to cover is called hip hinge or just hinge. Now I gave you guys the image earlier of a door hinge opening and closing. This is an important movement because your hips play a big role in maintaining balance. Your center of balance kind of sits right here in your torso. And it's important to train the muscles around that area. Keep a strong core, strong back, strong hips and legs here. So there's a few exercises you can do, but courtesy of Dave, he found me these 2 bricks around the club, and we're going to do what are called deadlifts. So similar to the one of the other exercises we did, you're going to have the objects in front of you, and you're going to kind of want to square your feet up, about shoulder width apart, maybe a little narrower, but you kind of want to point your feet forward. And what you want to do is you kind of bend down, you want to pick up those items, whatever way you can, and stand straight up with your back. And now you want to, the point of this exercise is to strengthen your lower back and your glute muscles. So you kind of want to bend your knees a little bit, but not too much. So as you come down, you come back up, stand up straight, and put it back down. Now you want to make sure your back is straight, and like I said, you're pretty much in a squat position here when you start. But as you stand up, you thrust your hips forward to really get that explosive movement upwards. And if you don't, and if you kind of slouch your back over when you do it, you're just going to end up hurting yourself, especially if something you're lifting is too heavy for you.
So Jude, if we don't have anything to lift, can we still do the motion, and would it still be effective without any weight?
The motion itself will still be fairly effective. Now, if you don't have weight, you could add tension to it instead of weight. For example, I'm just going to move over to this table here. You don't necessarily have to be lifting weights, but if you have something heavy you can kind of grasp on, you can kind of, I guess, apply tension to the muscle group if you can figure it out. There's different creative things that you can do, or if you don't have any weight or anything like that at all, you could just do the movement as well. Training the movement without any weight is actually good, because then you can practice your form without the worry of hurting yourself with weights or anything. So as long as you can practice the form and get it right, when you do have weights, then it'll work perfectly. So along that line there is the second movement we're going to do is called the single leg Romanian deadlift. So this is very similar. I'm just going to move one of the bricks out of the way. So very similar, it is another kind of deadlift. But all you're going to do is you're going to have one foot on the ground this time instead of 2. And what this does is make sure that, because when you're using both legs, one side can stabilize the other if you have a weak point in either leg or in one side of your back or your hips. So what this is going to do is going to isolate one side of your body. So I recommend doing this for both sides. You're just going to lift one leg up, and now what you're going to do is you're going to come down same way as before, leg up in the air, grab your object, and stand up. And back down. I can feel it already in my ankle. My ankle is kind of shifting back and forth because it's accounting for the weight on one side of my body and having my other leg up. So what that's good for is just kind of stabilizing those little muscles you didn't know you had, and kind of just adding to your overall stability in general. So I'm going to bend over, pick up my object, stand up, and come back down. All right, so this next exercise for the hinge category, I'm using a broom handle here. I took the end of the broom off, obviously. Normally people use dowel rods. This is called the Dowel Rod Hinge movement, I believe. And basically all it is it's, well, I'll demonstrate. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your right hand on the top of the pole, you're gonna bring it above your head, and you're gonna bring your left hand to the bottom of the pole, right in the small of your back. And what you want is to straighten your back out so that the pole makes connection at the base of your back, at the top of your back right here, and at your head. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna put your butt against the wall like this, and you're gonna bend over. Kind of bend your knees a little bit, like almost like a wall sit. You're gonna bend over. And you wanna make sure that the pole maintains contact until you get to here, and back up. This isn't a very difficult exercise, but what it is for is ensuring that you're making sure that your back is straight, and that, you have to have your back straight for your hips to properly contract and such. So all this is going to do is going to kind of correct your form and tell you if you have anything you need to work on. And even now I can feel that the pole is kind of coming off of my lower back, which means I kind of need to straighten my back out more as I come up. So that's just a simple movement that you can do with a broom handle.
Hey.
All right, so on to category number 4. So this one is the squat category. So what the squat is I'll demonstrate a squat. This is just a body weight squat. So you're gonna feet shoulder width apart, maybe just a little bit wider, and you're gonna basically sit down like you're sitting in a chair. You don't want your knees past your toes, and you come back up. Now this movement is very important for a variety of reasons. It's one of the basic ones you're gonna do in day-to-day life. You have to lift anything heavy. They always say lift with your legs, not with your back, right? So you don't want to be bending over and picking things up unless you train deadlift type maneuvers like we did in the last section. But squats are important nonetheless, and yeah, just important exercises. So you can do the body weight squat. I'll demonstrate it from a side view so you can kind of see. But again, feet shoulder width apart. You want to keep your shoulders back. You want to pretty much sit down. Don't let your knees go past your toes, and step back up. Now, if you want to add extra weight to that, I have these oil jugs again. I can take these, hold them up here by my face, get in my position, squat down, and stand back up. So that's a pretty easy movement that you guys can do at home, or anywhere really. I've demonstrated it before, I'm demonstrating it again, simply because it's so effective. The next one we're gonna do is lunges. So again, I'm sure you all know what a lunge is, but I'm gonna demonstrate it anyway. So you're gonna stand with your feet together, take one step forward, and bring your opposite knee to the ground, and back up, and then switch. Now again, if you want to make that a little more difficult, grab your oil jugs or whatever you have at home, hold them up like this, take a step forward, lunge down, and stand back up. So for the third exercise here, it's a squat, again, but now we're going to add jumping. So squat jumps, they're very effective because you put yourself in a neutral position here, and gravity's pushing down, your weight down kind of thing, and you need to muster up as much explosive energy as you can to jump off the ground. So what you're going to do is from the bottom of the squat position, you're going to come up, and you're going to jump. So that's an extra explosive movement that you can do. So it's an evolution of the squat. So again, you're going to squat down. Once you reach the bottom, from the bottom, you're going to go up and jump. And that's really good for your ankles too.
Jude, for that one, do we want to land back in a squat or do we want to land standing? Does it make a difference?
Usually when I'm doing lots of squat jumps back to back, what I'll do is I'll land right into the squat itself. So I'll go down, I'll jump up, and I'll come back down. But if you're kind of doing one at a time, or for the sake of form, you're going to want to come here, and bend your knees a little bit, just to kind of cushion the impact, because you don't want to land with your knees straight. It makes a lot of noise. It hurts your joints and things like that. But I think you can do it either way. Now, I'm not an expert, but I do it both ways.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so section number 5, the fifth last basic movement. And this is loaded carries. So this is something that's very important, especially once you get into the working field as you get older, and just generally for your strength and things like that. So first movement we're going to do is called the farmer's walk. So I have my oil jugs here again, trusty oil. Basically all you're going to do is you're going to get a good grip on them, hold them by your side and kind of try and square your shoulders back, and you're just going to walk. Now by having something heavy in your hands works your grip strength and as well works the muscles that keep you stable in your hips and in your legs and in your sides. I'm not walking very far here just because we have limited space, but if you're outside, if you're at the gym, I'd recommend walking 20 to 40 meters with an item that is difficult for you to hold. So you want something that's pretty heavy, and you really want to squeeze as tight as you can. So by squeezing your hands on the grip of whatever it is you're gripping, it'll activate your forearm muscles, and it'll overall just give you a good solid base for if you have to carry something heavy. The next one's fairly similar. I'm just going to do it with one, just for simplicity's sake. This is called the waiter's carry. Now I'm going to stand sideways here again. Basically what you can do, similar thing, that you can hold it like this. If you can imagine a waiter, how they carry their plates like this. Or you can hold it straight up, and you're just going to walk. You might want to do this one a little lighter than you do your farmer's carry, just because you are holding something heavy over your head like this, or like this, depending on how you want to do it. But again, this is just another variation of the farmer's carry that can help you just strengthen little stability muscles in your body, and again, things you didn't know that you had. So the last movement here is something I'm not going to demonstrate, but it's called the ruck marching. So what it is when you see people go hiking, they have really big bags on their back. What that is, well, you can imagine it as walking plus. So by having extra weight on your back, you're working extra muscles, and so if you can get a nice, good, fast walking pace going with a heavy bag on your back, if I do it, I just try to shoot between 60 and 70 pounds, especially when I go hiking. And that'll just help add a little bit of extra resistance to your walks or to your hikes or anything else, and really just strengthen, again, different stability kind of muscles. So it's really good skill to have to be able to carry heavy things for longer distances. That'll help you when you're older, when you're in the working field, like I said again, or you need to help your grandma move furniture, things like that. So this is just one of those really basic and really essential movements that you really need. Laura has a question.
So Jude, with everything we've done today, we've used a lot of household items, which is awesome. Should we start with something that is too heavy for us to lift, or do we want to start with a lower weight of something, like maybe a smaller can, if it's too much for us to lift at first?
So that's a very good question. You never, ever, 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 again, never, ever lift something that's too heavy for you. If anything, it's better to start with no weight. Like I was saying for the deadlifts when Laura asked her question earlier, it's better to practice the movement with no weight to make sure that you have your form correct. If I'm bending over too much here and I realize that and I go to lift something really heavy, I'm going to go, and I'm going to throw something out of my back. So at all times, if anything, start with no weight. Just to make sure you have the movement down and you have the form correct so you don't hurt yourself. This is actually a mistake I made when I started going to the gym in high school. I'd go in and, I'm decently strong to start off with, so I was like, oh, whatever, I can throw weights around, no problem. And I ended up hurting part of my back here and like my shoulder area because I was lifting weights too heavy with improper form. So again, try to avoid that whenever possible. Start with no weight just to get the movement down, and that's okay too, because everyone starts somewhere. And when you go to the gyms, you see people lifting big weights and stuff. Don't feel embarrassed about that kind of thing, but especially since we're at home, it's a great place to just start off with nothing, and that's all right. If you want to build up and start from a small can, get to a bigger can, I don't know, if you have a log in your backyard, you can do something with that. Depends on where you're at, but listen to your own body and don't lift anything that you know that you can't lift. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right, so that's going to be it for today. I've given you guys about 15 different exercises here that you can choose from. So again, choose about 10 of them and do 2 sets of 10 reps. So that'll be 20 in total. As well as make sure afterwards you get a good stretch in. That's always important, very, very important. I went to the gym last week and I didn't stretch and I felt it again for the next 2 days. So again, stretch always. Make sure you're drinking lots of water, and thank you everyone for listening. So stay safe.